Welcome on this sunset safari. My name is Brent. I'm going to be your guide. I've got Brian on camera with me. We have Scott and Jandre on the other vehicle, and we have Tara and Nikki in final control. So welcome. As you can see, we are right next to a sleeping pride of lions known as the Nkuhuma Pride for anyone who might be new. So you are looking at these lions at the exact same time as I am, and they're doing what lions do for about 20 hours of the day, and that's sleep. But we are interactive, so you can ask us questions about sleeping lions, or even mobile lions if they do choose to do that a little bit later, and you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag #SafariLive when you're on Twitter. So we just came back to this area. We followed them for quite a long time this morning. They attempted to hunt a buffalo, then they attempted to hunt something else. We're not sure. I think it might have been a nyala. Both hunts were unsuccessful. And that's not that uncommon with lions. Lions generally have a success rate of between 12 and 17%, depending on the area. So not the most successful hunters. If they had a very high success rate, there'd be no impala and zebra and wildebeest around. So obviously they are designed not to succeed all the time. And as you can see, those hunts they tried this morning, and they tried to hunt another buffalo last night, have sort of knackered them out. And we are lying amongst them. We've got 5 lying in this pile over here. And there's another 2 sleeping over there. And then the last one is actually just got up and moved, and you can just see her bum off the front of the vehicle. She got up and moved, and actually moved closer to the vehicle and decided that that was the better spot. We do apologize profusely for the gremlins and the technical gremlins that crept up on us at the beginning of drive. Fortunately, we were able to swat them quite quickly at the sunset safari. So while we're going to stay here for a little bit longer with these very much flat cats, we're going to pass over to Scott, who's got something that is a little bit more airborne than our completely flat cats, and we'll see you a little later.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome on board with Jandre and myself, Scott. Look at this incredibly beautifully colored bird. We've been chasing it around now for quite some time, hoping to show it to you, and it's been good fun chasing it from tree to tree. The reason why it's been flying off, it actually hasn't been flying away from us, it's quite relaxed with us, but it has been flying off and catching prey on the ground. Small insects. It's been hard to see exactly what it is it's been catching. And it's called a lilac-breasted roller. Well done to Brent for relocating on the Nkuhuma Pride of Lion. Some very good prospects for later on with him and those lion. And it really is a wonderful winter's afternoon here in the Sabi Sands. There's a cool breeze blowing, and it's about 25 degrees Celsius, 76 degrees Fahrenheit. And like I said, my name is Scott, and I'm teamed up with Jandre on camera this afternoon. Our plans are pretty uncertain at this stage. We are both fairly interested in heading off to try and track down Sindila and Shadow, 2 leopards, a female and her 12-month-old son. Well, he's approaching 12 months. He was born in August last year, and we've been watching him quite a lot over the last week or so. So that's something that we would like to do. We did try and search for him this morning. We did see 1 or 2 of his tracks, but the area that he's moving in is on our kind of southern boundary. So we're not sure if he's on our side or on our southern neighbors. But that's something we may do a little bit later. And the great thing about driving around here is that even though we may have plans, we're not sure what we may bump into along the way. So let's carry on, and or let's actually just wait a second. It's take another look at this lilac-breasted roller, and then we will continue at some point, but I would like you to see it fly, as when it opens up its wings, there's a flash of electric turquoise blue, and I'm sure it won't take long before it spots its next victim. Now when we see it twitching its head from side to side, that means it could have spotted something and is trying to focus in on that target. So any sudden twitches of its head will mean you should be getting ready to fire off some screenshots. And if it is your first time joining, firstly, a very warm welcome. And secondly, taking screenshots is a great way for you to get involved on our safaris. And it's really easy to do. Also, if you are a newcomer, we love to hear your questions and comments, so please send them through to #SafariLive on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And the reason that your questions may be answered is because this is a live safari, so it's happening this very second. And if you send your questions through now, in the next couple of minutes, there's a strong chance either Brent or myself will answer them. And we really do enjoy interacting with people all around the world in different time zones. Some of you will be in snow, others will be close to the sea, and some of you will be possibly in Africa, not too far from here. We do have quite a few South African followers. The tree that it is sitting in is called a silver cluster leaf. You can see the leaves have got a silvery tinge, although they are mainly covered in dust now. The brown leaf-like pods are actually its seed pods. They are two-winged seed pods, so designed to be floated away in watercourses. Oh, there it goes. Had you have blinked, you would have missed it, and if any of you did manage to get a screenshot of that, you deserve some kind of an award for agility, because that was so quick. Now that it has moved on to a clearer perch, let's see if we can get one last view of it, and that way you may be able to take some shots of it out in the open, unobscured. And then we'll go and get lost on Djuma and Arathusa. I could certainly think of worse ways to spend the afternoon. Oh, we're really close now, and we're going to have an incredible view shortly. I'm going to get my camera ready and let's see who gets the best shot, you or me. Aren't they such magnificently colored birds? I'm told that there are 8 different colors in total, and see if you can find all 8 of them. I can see a light turquoise blue, a dark turquoise blue, and a brown quite easily, so that's 3, black tail 4, lilac breast 5, white streaks on the throat 6, it's got a very green head, that's 7, the 8th is a mystery to me. And interestingly, both the male and female lilac-breasted roller are equally beautiful. Quite often in the bird kingdom, it's the men that are the better looking ones. But this is a good scenario where it's actually impossible to distinguish between male and female. Unless, of course, you are yourself a lilac-breasted roller, then I'd like to think you could. But for us, it's very, very difficult to distinguish. I love the way its head bobs and weaves forward and backwards as the branch blows in order to maintain its balance. How long will it make us sit and wait before it flies off again? It's a good lesson to adopt and work with on safari, the skill of patience, because sometimes it is the best tool in your arsenal. There's some exciting news, folks. We've got Stefan Winterboer returning to camp today. Some of you may have met him a few weeks ago. He conducted some walking safaris on foot live, and hopefully it won't be long until we are back up and running with the foot safaris, the walking safari. And it really does add a great dynamic to the show, and so does Stefan, as well as Peter Braat, one of the directors of the company and one of the technical wizards involved in helping get these pictures across to you around the world, as well as Alex Foss, another one of our technical wizards. So 3 new arrivals in camp today, which we're really looking forward to. Now, as soon as you lose focus, you're going to miss an opportunity to get a screenshot. I think it may fly at any second. Look how it's looking down right below it. It may fly directly down to try and catch something. Be ready with those screenshots. Oh, this is looking good. I think something's going to happen here. Or am I wrong? I could be very wrong. It did look promising there for a second though. Oh, his head has twitched again quite quickly. It's lacking one of the streamers on its tail, the left-hand streamer. So possibly a squabble with another lilac-breasted roller caused that. You get another kind of roller. Oh! Isn't it so beautiful? Look at that bright green head. Well, we got to see some action, and Jandre did a great job in keeping you up to speed with that wonderful bird. Interestingly, I might want to show you this photograph. It's not going to be easy. Let's see if it's possible. No, it's not going to be possible. We're not in the correct light, but let's have a crack at it. I can try and use my head. It's actually really interesting. It looks like it's plummeting straight down out of the sky, which I guess it is. Looks like it's having some flying troubles, but it was just so acrobatic, I guess, that it had no problem flying down and catching some prey directly below it. So, if any of you were hoping to see a kill this afternoon, job done. But speaking of animals that make kill, I'm sure a lot of you are hoping to see lion or leopard or something like that make the kill. So why don't we send you across to Brent, and who knows, maybe something will stumble upon the Nkuhuma Pride in the next few minutes and you may see a different kind of hunts. See you later.
Welcome back, everyone. Not much has changed since we've been here. A couple of the lionesses have got up as the sun has taken over their little shady spot and moved off to behind this quarry bush. But other than that, very much flat cats. Oh, at least she's got her head up. they do spend an inordinate amount of time, what we would consider an inordinate amount of time sleeping. But the way they're designed, they're unable to deal with heat release like we are. Oh, there we go. Yawn. Lack of oxygen. So we sweat, and that enables us to operate through the heat of the day. Oh, look at that stretch. They are unable to sweat, so their method of dealing with heat is actually panting. So they have obviously a lot of capillaries or blood vessels in their mouths, and bringing cool air over that is how they would cool themselves down. Fortunately for them, today is not a particularly hot day, so not too much heavy panting going on. But if they had to move too much in this heat, it would definitely affect them. Well, see these two up in front of us, Brian? They've spotted a vulture, and they're looking over my shoulder. There's a vulture. I just saw it flying over my head. Or was it a bateleur? I can't really see. But a big, large predatory bird, so their heads immediately popped up. And lions will definitely very much watch vultures very carefully. And if those vultures start dropping, the lions will start moving in that direction because they'll know there's possibility of a free meal. So those are the two sub-adult females there. They're getting to an age now where they might possibly be safe if a pride takeover did have to take place. That they would be, they're almost adults now, probably another 6 or 7 months, but they're almost at the age where they might be ignored by new males coming in. Instead of trying to kill them, they'd obviously prefer to keep more females around. It's amazing that an animal, when you look at an animal like this, when they're sleeping like this, they look like they're completely docile. And one little second, one movement, one noise, and their whole body language changes, and that sort of 1,000-yard stare gets into their eyes, and they almost look like they're going to stare straight through you. But not when they're like this, of course. Only real movements we're seeing now are those ear flicks caused by the biting flies. And that's what quite often makes lion leopards' ears look so tattered. And hyenas as well. They're constantly being pestered by these biting insects. Oh, I got a little one up. Probably not going to move very far. There we go. All of them each or two. So what happens on a cool day like this, the reason, oh, there's a yawn, they will get up and move slightly, is because if they've been lying in one position for quite a long time, obviously that, like if you lie in one section of your bed and it gets very hot, so their little section of ground has become very warm, so they'll want to get up and move off to a cool section. When you see those paler bits underneath the eye, you'll find that quite a lot in animals that hunt quite a bit at night. So in lion and leopard, you'll see they've got those pale markings under their eye and above their eye, and that's to try trap or engage as much light as possible on the very dark nights. And then an animal like a cheetah has black around the eyes to try sort of stop as much of the glare from the sun as possible, because cheetah do a lot of hunting during the day. So even though lions look like quite clean animals, they're not. They are full of a myriad of parasites, ticks and fleas, and those are the nice ones. Lots of nasty flukes, not so nasty to a lion, flukes and tapeworms and things like that in their digestive system. Obviously, very little effect on a lion, but if they were to get into us, we would have quite an effect on us. Looks like she's got something stuck in her paw there that she's trying to remove with her teeth. Possibly a thorn or a burr. Or it could be a particularly irritating tick that she's trying to pop. So are we going to flop or are we going to move? Decisions, decisions. No, and to lick a little bit more. So you can see we've sat here now and two lions have actually moved closer to us. And quite often that's quite important, even though this is a very relaxed pride that's very used to the vehicles. We will stop always a certain distance. And quite often what happens is the lions will move closer to us. So that's them choosing to come into our space rather than us forcing ourselves into their space, which is very important. And it is something that in a lot of places, and while I was growing up, I was taught very, very seriously by my many teachers, rather let the animals come to you than you force yourselves on them. And accidents happen when you start doing that. You can see that these animals are completely comfortable and they've actually chosen to come closer to us rather than us going to them. Lisa would like to know, why do lions sweat through their paws? They don't actually sweat through their paws. They do have a gland in their paws that they use for scent marking. And that one who's been licking her paw quite a lot in front of us now, I think she's actually got a thorn or some other irritation, possibly a tick or a burr that has got between the pads on her foot. And I think she's just trying to get it out. You can see she's really trying to get in there. It could be a thorn, could be a particularly irritating parasite. So as the game drives are starting to get mobile, I just need to be on the radio for a few seconds. Last station, we are copying you 0 out of 5. I think someone might be sitting on their mic. Believe it or not, it happens quite often. When you're not concentrating, someone will sit on their mic and you can listen to what they're chatting about while they drive around the bush. It's sometimes quite funny when they don't realize they're broadcasting whatever they're discussing to every single game drive vehicle that's out. Afternoon, Craig. Nkuhuma's lying up in the same position we left him this morning, Battalier, just to the east of the Mulwati. And then there was a report of Tumadoda Shikankank in Buffalo's Hook around Umbrella Tree clearing. General direction was west towards Shambok Road. Probably about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Sorry guys, I'll be back with you in a second. I'm just trying to organize the game drives quickly. Hi, Bonnie from Pennsylvania, the home of UPenn and Wharton. Bonnie said she heard me I put out a quiz a few days ago about what was the biggest killer of lion cubs, and her answer was male lions. So Bonnie, you were spot on. They are the biggest killers, whether it be nomadic males moving through an area, or it is pride takeovers. And we've chatted quite a bit about this recently, because obviously we've been spending a lot of time with both the Nkuhuma and the Sticks Pride, so that's been really wonderful. It's given us a chance to chat a little bit further in depth about lions, and there's quite some new sort of information coming about from studies that when a new pride or group of males takes over a pride and kills all the cubs, immediately the females come in. Within 10 to 15 days, the females will come into an estrus, but it's turning out that it's a false estrus. And what happens is the reason they're doing this, which is really fascinating to me, is that they will mate with all the lions, so the males think they've covered the females, but the females purposely do not become pregnant from that. And the reason for this is that they are literally waiting to see if these males actually establish themselves properly in the area. So then with the next estrus cycle, which is normally about 3 months' time, that would have given these males now sort of 3 to 4 months, and the females can sort of judge whether they are actually going to remain dominant in an area for a while, or they're likely to be pushed off. So then only will they start mating with those males and start producing cubs, which is quite fascinating. It's quite a nice little fail-safe from the female point of view. We're just going to move the vehicle a little bit so we can have a look at these others that are lying on the other side, see if they're doing something slightly more interesting than this lot. I fear probably not, but worth a try. We might be able to get an interesting angle because of the slope of this bank. How's that, Brian? There we go. Just from the slope, it gives us like sort of we're looking straight down into her eyes. So remember, guys, take some screenshots, pop them on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. Just remember to use the hashtag Safari Live if you're popping pictures up, or on Instagram, just tag the official WildEarth Instagram page, which is at WildEarth Official. Hi, Susan from Tennessee, the home of, I'm not actually sure what Tennessee is the home of, but welcome on this Sunset Safari, and nonetheless, Susan. Susan's put forward quite a nice question here. So Susan says she understands why male lions would kill the young males and other male cubs, but why would they kill young females? Well, because the main reason for that, Susan, is that the mother of those cubs are not going to start breeding till those females are sort of between 2 and 3 years old. So it's to try induce the females to come into estrus quicker so that they can get their genes as fast as possible, start spreading their genes in a new pride that they've taken over. So it is a basically just to spread their genes as fast as possible. They will remove any cub sort of below 2 years, or any lion below 2 years old, and that will force the females to come into estrus and start mating. Hi, Gregory from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Greggy. Gregory, oh, what's going on there? Just quickly. Brian, there looks like they're playing over a stick. Two little guys, the two young sub-adults got up. They are quite hungry, so I am hoping they move a little bit earlier than usual this evening. Sorry, Gregory, back to your question. Gregory would like to know whether we get cheetah and jaguars here. Cheetah, yes, we do. Not that we don't see them that often because they do range in quite large home ranges. So they do cover a lot of distance. So they'll walk through an area very quickly. And we have seen cheetah quite recently. We saw 2 male cheetah. We actually saw them get chased by a male leopard. So that was really, really fascinating. It was actually Brian and myself who were in that sighting. We were very impressed with ourselves after that. As James, for our regulars will remember, James noted that after we saw that, we walked into the camp with playing AC/DC and being very impressed with ourselves. But on the jaguar front, we don't. So the niche that a jaguar fills in South America is somewhere between a leopard and a lion. They look similar to leopards, but they are much, much bigger than leopards. A big male jaguar is probably the size of a really big male jaguar is the size of a lioness. And the other interesting thing is they seem to have, the jaguars in particular, have quite a lot of traits that are not shared by a lot of cats. So they have individual traits, which I find really fascinating. So for example, tigers are big fans of water and will swim, but won't really climb trees, and neither will lions. Leopard climb trees, but jaguar will swim and climb trees. So they're sort of the almost got the best of all the little attributes that the different cat families have. But unfortunately, jaguars are indigenous to South America, South and Central America. They actually at one time used to occur in the United States, all the way into Texas, as far as my reading is correct. And I think, I'm not sure what year they were extinct in Texas. Maybe you guys can look and find out for me and check if what the furthest sort of north jaguars used to occur in the United States. I know they did used to, but it would be really fascinating to find out. So if you guys know how far north jaguars used to occur in the United States of America, let me know, and you can do that by sending us an email on questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Scott. I affirm, yeah, far east in Buffalo's Hook, between Cruise Camp and Milkberry Camp. That is affirmative, towards Shambok Road. Probably about 3 or 4 k's from Cheetah Cut Line, Buffalo's Hook Cut Line. I think it was Greg, Cruise Camp vehicle. Sorry about that, guys. Just letting everyone know about what was heard on the radio earlier and seen to the north of us, because we were the first out. So it seems like whoever called in that update to the north of us has disappeared off the radio. So there's a bit of pandemonium while they try to find out what's going on. Sorry guys, I'll be back in 1 second. Stations, that update I got is he left them mobile west towards Shambok Road from Umbrella Tree Clearing. Sorry about that. So, guys, we are sitting with some very flat cats. So I'm going to put it up to you guys. Do you think we should stay longer with these sleeping lions, or maybe go off, see what else we can find, and then come back to the lions a little bit later when they're more likely to be a bit more mobile? So send that what you would like to do. Would you like to stay or with the lions for a bit longer? Would you like to move on, see if we can find something that's a little bit more energetic than the Nkuhuma Pride at the moment? You can let me know what we should do by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Hi, Debbie from Georgia, who watches us daily. Thanks very much for that, Debbie. We really do appreciate our regular viewers. Debbie in Georgia would like to know whether lions' pupils change size like ours do, depending on light. Oh, it looks like this lion's having a dream. You can just see the side of her face twitching. Here we go, and the eye twitch there. I don't think that's caused from the flies. I actually think she is dreaming probably about leaping onto a buffalo, sinking her fangs in. But Debbie, they will change size. Obviously during the day, they will be constricted, and obviously we see them most of the time during the day because there's a lot of light around. And during the evening, they will widen to increase their night vision. You can even see the corners of her mouth twitching there. Oh, and the head even. Hello, Anne, from the state where everything's bigger and better and the country music is playing in most bars. Anne from Texas. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Anne would like to know whether the lion's eyesight is better during the day or at night, or is it the same? Their eyesight is very good either day or night. Obviously, at night they have an advantage because they have better eyesight than the other animals, and that's where the advantage comes in. They can see about 8 times better than we can at night. Remember, they see in sort of various shades of grey, so they're not as limited as we are. Most of the animals also do, but they are more focused on having better daytime vision, as opposed to things like lions and leopards. It's very different, very interesting how all the different animals have evolved these special niches to have a sort of time that is theirs. And quite interestingly, one of the main reasons lions are very nocturnal as opposed to being diurnal, and why they never developed methods of coping with the heat to be sort of regular daytime hunters, this is a theory. It's one of the theories out there, which makes quite a lot of sense to me. I'm sure there's quite a lot of other reasons apart from just this. And that's because modern-day man and modern-day lions evolved at around the same time. And we have developed almost exclusively into a diurnal predator. We are far more active during the day. We have special adaptations that enable us to operate through the hottest weather that most animals would die from. We're also the only animal that can run an ultra marathon. So we have an incredible ability to deal with heat and throw heat, sort of get rid of the heat in our body. And lions didn't need to develop that because they developed better night vision, and that was one of their ways they stopped competing with us. So if you imagine us all living out on the African savanna about 200,000 years ago, and this is also one of the theories why lions are the only social cat, is that a single man out on there would be easy prey to a single lion, and a group of lions would now put together quite a formidable thing, even during the day, for a group of men to try attack. And so we sort of stand off each other, and that's why lions will run away from us during the day. 90% of the time, they do not want to get into a fight with a dominant predator. It is against a good survival strategy, and one of the reasons we feel the need to get home when it gets dark and try to get into a closed protective space is because at night the lion is the king and they will try eat you. And so we have that really, really interesting sort of parallel evolution. And there's obviously, I'm sure there's a lot more other reasons that this happened, and it's been near impossible for us to, all of this is speculation on stuff that happened many thousands of years ago, but that does make quite a lot of sense. Hi, Judith and Hilna. Judith and Hilna are putting forward a question that is a little bit different. They said they've seen a lioness kill a 4-month-old cub from a different pride. Is this unusual? Not at all. It is actually very, very normal behavior for lions to try remove other cubs from, or even adults from other prides, because it removes competition, and they then have less competition over the available resources. So that is very normal for female lions to kill cubs from another pride. They're also unrelated cubs to them quite often, so that means there's no reason that they should not kill them. They're removing possible threats to their genetic line, and also removing a possible resource hog. So they would like to monopolize the resources in the area, and they don't like sharing with lions that aren't related to them. So the general consensus over Twitter and email is that we should move along, but definitely come back later. And there's some jokers out there who said we should go in search of the elusive giant land snail. Well, if it were the summer months, I would say that would be a very good option, and I'm pretty sure I could conjure an elusive giant land snail, but unfortunately during the winter months they're going to be hiding somewhere, and I'm not quite sure where yet. So we're going to meander on, see what else we can find, and while we move out of the lion sighting, we're going to cross across to Scotty so he can let you know what he's been up to, and hopefully he's been roaming far and wide in search of something.
Well, welcome back, and I believe you've told Brent that he should head off in search of something more exciting until those lions hopefully wake up a little bit later on, and that's not a bad decision to have made. We are on Arathusa now, quite close to the boundary with Djuma, and it's in this area, this general area. It's kind of probably 1 square kilometer where Sindile and his mother have been spending a lot of time over the past few months, or sorry, the past month or so. Months would be a lie, they haven't been spending that much time there. Good afternoon. How are you doing?
How are you doing, Leg? How are you?
Very good. Where's Ashkankan?
Elephant play.
Okay, cool. Enjoy.
Thank you.
See you later.
Yeah.
Bye. So I was just asking for an update on where exactly a cheetah could be, because I heard on an update on the radio channel here on Arathusa that a cheetah had been located, and this guy just informed me exactly where. Sadly, it's further to the west where we cannot go, but it's not too far away from Arathusa, and there's a chance if it moves to the east that we could potentially see it. Now, there have also been reports of another 2 cheetah up in Buffelshoek, but quite far east. So we are stuck in the middle of the sandwich with the 2 cheetah being the buns and nothingness being us in the middle. So there's a chance though that cheetah could approach either from the west or the east. Good prospects. We've only seen 2 cheetah, or 2 sightings of cheetah on Safari Live. One was with myself in the morning, and then that afternoon we did see the same cheetah with Mark and myself, and then a few weeks ago, possibly a month or so ago now, Brent managed to see an awesome sighting of a young male leopard chasing off some cheetahs. So we have had sightings, but not as many as we would have liked to share with you. Anyway, there are other spotted cats like the leopard, and if we're very lucky, the serval, which we could bump into. But for now, the cheetah are either side of us. Last station, I'm copying you 1 out of 5. So, still quite a hot afternoon, so I'm gonna head off to a very small waterhole called Red Dam, which is only a couple of minutes away, and we may get to see something drinking there. It's also a beautiful area, and again an area where we have seen both Shadow and Sindile. And even though Sindile was last seen behind us, further south of us, that's not to say they've moved and people didn't see their tracks and are now in a completely different area. So gonna extend the search a little bit. There's only so much you can drive around the same area where you last saw them, And then it's time to start expanding and seeing what else is around, or if in fact they have moved away from that area. Actually going to take you on a quick tour of our state-of-the-art sports stadium here at Arethusa. This is the main entrance into the stadium, and on our right we have the Knobthorne Clearing rugby pitch, and it's in this open clearing that we get to run around and chase one another with an inflatable ball. Now, I've just seen a crowned lapwing which has acted quite interestingly, and it got up a few steps and then lay down. I'm just gonna, there it's calling again. I'm just gonna get my binoculars out and have a closer look. It possibly has a nest or young chicks nearby. They can nest quite late into the winter, and it wasn't long ago when I saw some tiny chicks. Sadly, it wasn't live on air. And this is one of our local spectators. We've had Elephant Bull come walking past us while playing touch rugby, as well as Gnu, the wildebeest, and a few other animals which have come for a quick investigation. And aren't we lucky to call this our little playground? The crowned lapwing doesn't seem too happy with us at the moment, and you can hear it shouting in disgust, and I just want to keep a close eye on it. The problem is, if it has seen, or if it does start letting off this distress call, its chicks are very, very cryptically camouflaged, and they will hide, and by hiding all they have to do is lie flat down in the grass, and they will disappear and blend into the vegetation. And as long as she keeps calling like that, any chicks that may be here will be hidden completely flat, keeping dead still, waiting for their mother to let them know when they can. No, I think she might have a nest here. She keeps going back to that same little spot. Let's see if she doesn't have a nest there. The eggs are equally cryptically well camouflaged. Are we in luck? It doesn't look like it. The patch where she went down and sat earlier appears barren to me. But I'm just going to use my binoculars to take a closer look, because, like I say, the eggs, as well as the chicks, which she could be sitting on top of, are frighteningly well camouflaged. So much so that if you are certain that there is a nest, you need to be very careful that you don't step on the eggs, which is the last thing we'd want to do. Okay, false alarm. I thought we were going to get lucky there. Okay. Well, a brief tour of the Knobthorne Stadium. And it's quite good fun. Some guides come from an hour away to play with us. Mavis on Twitter. Good afternoon, and good to have you with us. Mavis has asked if cheetah are not on the big five because they are not capable of climbing trees. It's not a bad guess, and you must wonder why the cheetah is not on the big five. And interestingly enough, the big five was actually created by hunters, and it is the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt in Africa. The cheetah is not a dangerous animal at all, and very few fatalities, if any, have been had with wild cheetah. Captive cheetah are a different story, but like I say, they are not at all dangerous. They are quite slightly built for speed, not for confrontation, and therefore they are not at all dangerous to hunt, and that's why they're not on the big five. But they are within the magnificent seven, because the big five is somewhat of a thing of the past, and most people have adopted this as 5 animals that they would like to see when out on safari, and maybe take some photographs of them as opposed to hunt them. And the wild dog and the cheetah have been added to that list of the big five to make the magnificent seven. So it's kind of evolved into something very different to what it was originated, who it was originated by, and what it was originated for. And I hope that answers your question. It's also important to understand that a cheetah can scramble up a tree. It's not good at climbing them. Just like a lion. A lion typically is not a good tree climber, but it does have the ability to scramble up a tree if need be. Good to have you with us, Mavis. And hopefully it won't be too long before we do find a cat that can climb into a tree. Look here on our right. Just going to bend down so I don't get in your way. We saw one of them this morning, but the lighting now and his proximity to us is just perfect. What an awesome bird this is. Look at all those colors. Reds, yellows, oranges, blacks, whites. And that big heavy bill that he or she will use for feeding on fruits. And look at them hopping along there. They will also feed on insects, not only fruit. Now, there's nothing we can do when they come too close to us. Let me see if I can. No, I was hoping to be able to reverse, but there he goes, hopping off. And there's no way around that for us. We could in no ways have moved the vehicle without chasing him off from that proximity. Let's see if he chases the Birchall starlings or vice versa. They're both two quite aggressive birds when need be, and can often be at the forefront of mobbing snakes and other little birds of prey. And I was wondering if there was going to be any kind of interaction between the crested barbet and the Birchall starling over there, but not today. Isn't it interesting how the crested barbet hops, whereas the Birchall starling, now watch closely, is more of a runner. Oh, there we go, there's a bit of interaction. The crested barbet was hoping to steal whatever the Birchall starling found there, but I think it was a bit too late. Wonderful. Isn't that such a pretty little bird? Well, we've just been watching that crested barbet hop down the road, and we've got a question through from Pretty Nightmare wondering if anything's ever hopped onto the vehicle in my career, and thankfully no, nothing other than the odd grasshopper or stick insect, but I've never had a mammal jump onto my vehicle. I've had elephants come very close and reach out with their trunks and touch the hood of the vehicle. But I've never, and I had a buffalo run into the car once, but it was trying to get away from lion. It wasn't interested in attacking us. It was scary though. It was actually quite an interesting story because we had been following a coalition of 5 male lions called the Mapocho. They are no longer, sadly, and they had kind of gone through quite a thick area of bush, so we looped ahead of them. And when we looped ahead, where we were going to white from these 5 male lions that were about to come around the corner, so it's obviously a tricky situation because you want to see the action, but you don't want to get injured. So I offered it to my guests, and I said, look guys, it's up to you. There's a chance a buffalo could run into our vehicle, or they could just run past on either side, but we will be taking a risk by staying. Naturally, all of them said, we'll stay, and so we did. And as soon as the buffalo crashed into the front of the vehicle, he took 2 steps to the side and continued running, and thankfully we didn't slow him down. The lion didn't get them, but we got a little bit of a fright along the way. Other than that, though, pretty nightmare. I've been lucky. I know in some parts of Kenya and Tanzania, which have prolific cheetah viewing, the cheetah have become accustomed to jumping up onto the bonnets of the vehicle and even the roofs of the vehicle, but it is frowned upon because you are letting them get a little bit too close to us as humans. So it would be better to chase them off and not allow them, by tapping the vehicle and not allow them to do that. But cheetah will do that, and there's millions of photographs of people with cheetah on the roofs of their vehicle. Thanks, they're pretty nightmare, not yet, but anything's possible, and who knows what might hop onto our vehicle this afternoon. Hopefully it's not one of these big old boys on our right. I'm going to stop here. There's one off further to the right behind the thick bush that you can just see shaking his head, but they are feeding towards us, so I'll just wait here in that way, not block their path. Now, the Cape Buffalo that we're looking at here can be a very cantankerous and short-tempered animal, and is very dangerous, especially when on walking safaris. But when we're in the vehicle, there's a lot smaller chance of them charging us and attacking us. Although I have heard one story from a friend of mine who had her vehicle attacked by one, and the buffalo had crashed into the hood of the vehicle on the passenger side, on the passenger seat side, between the passenger seat and the tracker seat. The seat's on the front of the bonnet where the trackers will sit, and the tracker just leapt straight over all the action into one of the back rows of the vehicle, and thankfully nobody was injured. I've also once seen a large buffalo bull that was in an exceptionally bad mood. Look at how awesome this is, chewing on that grass. And this poor old buffalo bull had had his entire scrotum removed, obviously by a pride of lion that were trying to catch him, and understandably he was in an absolutely foul mood. So we kept a very wide berth from him. Although, what's this guy coming to do now? Wouldn't it be funny if I said there's very small chance of them crashing into our vehicle, and this guy is acting a little bit strangely, so it's probably because he's just having a toilet break now, so he was just probably bursting for the toilet, and now he's going ahead with what he needed to do. So it hopefully wasn't us he was frustrated with, it was merely the fact that he needed a pit stop. Now when they do come so close to the vehicle like this, understandably it makes it difficult to film, but it does give you a great perspective of how close it is away. It's probably only 1.5 meters from us, and this looks like a big old bull. It looks like each step he takes is an effort. Look at all the flies coming off of his back. Incredible. Now it's these very old boys that you don't want to come across on foot, because they have got very little time or inclination to want to have anything to do with us. Oh, this next guy's also in a serious shape. Hopefully he stops like he just has now, and if we look closer onto his horns, we'll see that he's had a large amount of his boss consumed by horn borer moths, a highly specialized insect which can feed on the keratin sheathing which surrounds the bony inner of the horn. And again, covered in flies. Oh, well, at least they're in sync, and they both plan their toilet breaks to be tied in with one another. Sorry about that, it was bad timing, but it is a live safari and we've got no control over what these animals do. So sometimes what you see is what you get, and we've got no way around that, so apologies. You can hear a kind of rasping noise, which are the red-billed oxpeckers. One's just flown down. It's there just behind his right hoof, or his back hoofs. And they call similar to that of kind of rubbing a comb over a sharp corner. You can hear that. And oh, it's having a dust bath. That's what it's doing down there. And it's a very important sound to listen out for, because if we were on a walking safari now and we heard this call, we would be on high alert, because there would be that chance of buffalo or rhino, other potentially dangerous herbivores around. So a very useful call of the wilderness. And I quizzed everyone a few days ago. Some of you were very sharp and got it correct, but we were watching about 40 big old buffalo bulls at the Buffalo's Hook waterhole, and there was not one oxpecker on all these buffalo, which was a huge surprise to me. And some of you pieced that together, so well done to those of you who did. And now those of you who didn't, who may be joining for the first time, know that telltale call, a very important one to listen out for. Well, this is the mighty Red Dam, everyone, and as you can see, there's not much water in it at the moment, and it will sadly probably continue to dry up, although I'm not sure if they do pump into this waterhole. Some of the waterholes in the Sabi Sands are artificially pumped into, but I'm not sure if this one is. We were chatting earlier today, well, Nikki and myself, and I'm looking forward to all the waterholes drying up. We're going to get some great feeding frenzy action as the fish have nowhere to hide. It's not an ideal scenario for the fish, but for the animal that can eat the fish, a variety of birds, even leopards and hyena, will take the easy opportunity to feed on fish in drying pools. Well, the noise you can hear is a grey go-away bird, and it's just sitting up on our right, on the top of a knobthorn tree in the top right-hand section, Jandre. And I'm not sure why it's letting off its alarm call. But they're very pretty birds, a very large grey crest. And as we take a closer look of it surfing this windy branch, ah, wonderful, there you go again. It's possibly just getting a little bit worked up. Oh no, it's not that one that's calling. It's one that's actually closer to us that I've just seen. So that wasn't the one that's calling. Maybe that's these two having a conversation with one another, building up the courage to go down for a drink. Now, one of our viewers from Switzerland, Peter, has asked a question about off-roading, and Peter says he's been to the Kruger National Park many times, and in there you cannot off-road, whereas here we can. And Peter would like to know, what impact does off-roading have on the vegetation? And it's a good question, Peter, and you may wonder why in some areas you can and others you can't. Well, the Kruger National Park allows public visitors to drive themselves around, and if in this public reserve with people with no expertise of animal behavior and even basic off-roading, it would be an absolute disaster if you did allow people to off-road. Also, they don't know which areas are sensitive and which areas can be driven over depending on the vegetation and soil types. Therefore, it's better to allow off-roading in areas where only trained guides will be performing this. That way, minimizing the impact it does have on the environment. Some people say it doesn't have any impact, but I'm a firm believer that there's obviously a very slight impact on the environment. But I think the benefit of us being allowed to off-road and show people these wild animals, and therefore generates a lot of revenue for this area, and therefore keep the animals in this area safe. I think off-roading is a very, very minute amount of damage that we may cause to the environment for a greater cause. So I think that certainly it will have a slight amount of damage as we do drive over various trees, but most of these trees pop back up, and I don't think you can imagine this reserve has been going for over 40 or 50 years, people doing exactly what we're doing now, but it's still a natural ecosystem with lots of wild animals living very happily, and you seldom drive around and notice areas that seem to have been driven over off-road too much. And there are ways of actually rehabilitating certain areas, and guides will go into the bush and rehabilitate a road where, for example, a buffalo kill may have been, and lots of vehicles may have gone in and out, in and out, in and out, compacting the soil, which is the major problem with off-roading. It's the soil compaction. And they can go in there and dig it up, re-aerate the soil, and then continue and allow the bush to do the rest of the rehabilitation. So I don't think it's too negative, and as long as it's done properly, it is, I think, a necessary part of the safari experience. I was hoping those go-away birds were going to go down for a drink, but they seemed quite relaxed. Oh, there's some waterbuck running across the road, but it's just going to be a fleeting glimpse unless one or two more decide to cross. Let's wait and see. That may have been all of them. And in this thick bush on a windy afternoon, I don't think they're going to hang around, although it looks like they have. Oh, it's going to go again. It's going to jump across the road. There we go. Look at the white ring on its bottom. That is a waterbuck on the move. Okay, well, we've just left that little drying up waterhole, and Carrie would like to know, how do the fish get back in there the following year to repopulate the pond? And basically there's a network of riverbeds, and as soon as we get our first rains and some of the dams will overflow and streams will begin to flow, small catfish and other fish will be transported in the streams into these little waterholes along the way. So they will be replenished naturally, by the natural flow of water from some bigger dams, and the overflow and spillover from those dams will cause the fish to spread. Some fish in other areas, though, depending on the species, will be able to lay eggs that remain dormant in the mud for dry seasons, and then will pop up when the next rains come. But the tilapia and catfish will just follow the natural flows of the river when the rainy season comes. A lot of you are sending through some very in-depth questions, wanting to know some of the finer details of what we should and shouldn't do on safari, and that's great. Joyce is another one of those viewers, and she would like to know about driving over dung when it's on the road. Should we or shouldn't we? Ideally, no, we wouldn't drive over the dung, because it does turn into a little habitat. So, or sorry, not a habitat, a little, yeah, I guess it is. It's a little micro habitat for termites and other smaller insects that can then start feeding on and further breaking down the dung. Now, if we were to drive over them and squash them, it makes it a less hospitable environment for a lot of those insects. So it's better to try and avoid it where you can, but it's not essential. But where you can, it is good to try and avoid squashing the dung. Saw a little track on the road there. It looked like, well, it was a hyena track. It wouldn't have been easy to show you, but I got excited. I thought it could have been a leopard. Not that I wouldn't like to see a hyena, but tracking one down would be near impossible. They move huge distances every evening in search of potential meals. In all likelihood, far more than lion and leopard move on an average night. And their tracks litter all the roads we drive on basically every morning or every day. It would be far easier to go to the hyena den site, which we have on Nkuhuma, which is what we may do, but we're a little bit far away from there, and I don't want to overcommit to anything, but we could potentially end up there later. I'm told Brent is off his vehicle trying to track down a leopard. So that's what he's up to. Maybe he'll get lucky, which I hope, because at the moment we certainly haven't had any luck on that front, but we have had another kind of luck. I've just seen some zebra, and we're going to be able to drive alongside them as Jean-Andre pans across onto them with some beautiful afternoon sunlight bathing their dazzling camouflage. Well, maybe we won't have to follow them. No, we will. There are a few more up ahead of them as well. And we seldom get opportunities to film when on the move. And it makes for a different perspective for you guys. Often it's too bumpy to allow the cameraman to keep the camera in a decent spot to show you the animals, whereas here it certainly is possible. And we'll get one more glimpse after this thorn bush, maybe another one. One more guarri bush. and off they go into some thick vegetation. Very good. Thank you, zebras. Now, for those of you who weren't on the sunrise safari, we did follow up on the last position, or last known position, of Sindile from yesterday morning, and Brent didn't have any luck there. And then I came back this morning and did find some tracks that were in all likelihood his, and they headed into an area that we actually had followed a herd of elephants into, and we had looped ahead of the elephants and were watching them move through this area. And I was hoping that the elephants would detect him and alert us to his presence. But the herd of elephants moved through and didn't even trumpet or get a little bit worked up, which they would have if they smelt a leopard. Not for fear of them, but for just the fact that they don't like them and they want to chase them off. So the elephant didn't help us, but we will head back into that area now and see, now that it's cooling down, if he hasn't moved again and isn't possibly hunting some dwarf mongooses, which is something he has been spending a lot of time doing with us on camera the last few days. Not only dwarf mongooses and an array of different animals, but we've yet to see him catch something. Although I think Brent may have seen him catch a bug, but we haven't seen him catch a mammal or a bird, a substantial kill. And it really will be exciting when we do see that happen for the first time. Well, Brent is driving so quick at the moment, not even the broadcast can keep up with him. And the reason why he is driving quickly is he's following up on some alarm calls, obviously close to these leopard tracks. So he is hot on the trail of this leopard. And as soon as he slows down to a speed where the satellite can actually find him again, I'm sure Tara, who's directing the show, will send you across to him. We, on the other hand, are in tortoise mode, trying to comb this area. And I must say, I would love some alarm calls to start ringing out now. Maybe let's stop and listen. Who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky and also have some alarm calls to respond to. Sadly, it's quite silent here, but we're going to continue listening and send you across to Brent's vehicle, where hopefully you'll be able to hear some of the alarm calls still and get in on that action. Enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone. So we just went and did a big loop around, trying to see what else we might be able to find. Unfortunately, it's been quite quiet. Just wanted to check this area here. I thought I heard some alarm calls in the distance, but we were quite far away when it happened. And I guessed it was around here, so we're just going to check very carefully for tracks. But welcome back. I'm sure you're having a dazzling time with Scott and the zebra. And some great bird sightings as well. On top of a ridge above a deep drainage line. Brian's just peering into it. I'm going to try to give you a good view of how high we are above where the drainage line is. Hopefully without going off the edge. But a really good area for a leopard. So you can actually see there's the bottom of the tree there. So we're probably about 7 or 8 meters above the drainage line. So really nice to be able to look down into this drainage line. definitely one of my favorite drainage lines on Nkuhuma. It's the drainage line that runs from a Buffelshoek waterhole all the way down to the Mulwati drainage. And I've had some really, really wonderful times in this drainage line. It's the drainage line that I first walked Nkuhuma, a young male leopard, and we found him with a bushbuck kill. And it was the first leopard I tracked and found on foot when I arrived at Nkuhuma. So really have a soft spot. Also really beautiful trees as you saw there along here, and just a all-round quite wonderful spot. So those of you who might have joined us a little late, or might be even a new viewer, welcome onto the back of our vehicle. My name's Brent, and I am your guide on a live African safari. At the moment, we're on Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve in Sabisa in South Africa, which forms part of the Greater Kruger National Park, and it is a 3.5 million hectare open system where animals are able to meander between the areas without any fences, and we are live, so you're seeing everything I'm seeing in real time. We did spend quite a bit of time with the Nkuhuma Pride of lions earlier, but they were quite lazy, so we're slowly meandering back towards them. Apart from being live, we're also interactive, so you can send us questions while we drive around the bush and track the various wild beasts, and you can do that by sending us an email on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. So while we slowly make our way back towards the lions, I've got a quiz for all you guys out there, and try something a little bit different this time. So normally we ask you what live trees are. Today I'm going to ask you what dead tree is this, and how long do you think this dead tree can stay standing up in this position? So there we go, have a good look at that dead tree. Very distinct shape, and that's what you're going to be looking for the IDs. And how long do you think it might be able to stay upright before falling down? And you can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv, or use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. So instead of a live tree quiz today, we've got a dead tree quiz. So let's see who's going to be the first to get that one. Hi, Yvonne. So Yvonne is referring to what you guys were chatting with Scott and about cheetah and the Magnificent Seven, which is sort of Africa's big five, plus wild dog and cheetah. She would like to know why giraffe aren't included. Well, Yvonne, if you come to the original meaning of the big five, and then the Magnificent Seven was sort of a marketing tool added on a little bit later just to add two more interesting predators into it, and actually it was a documentary if I remember correctly. But the big five originally comes from the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt on foot in Africa. And so a giraffe, and then, well, I think the reason they added cheetah and wild dog, obviously being predators, there is a perception that they can be possibly dangerous. They do kill other animals and eat meat. Where there is the sort of herbivores in the big five and the Magnificent Seven, are very big and dangerous to a human. And because the cheetah and wild dog have teeth and claws and whatnot, and I am speculating here, that is why they were added in and not a giraffe. A giraffe is very unthreatening to a human, and they would generally just move away from you. Aspect to look at. Why? And one would ask, why isn't a hippo included? And a hippo is very dangerous to human beings. But if it's not dangerous, it's not originally dangerous to hunt on foot, because hunting a hippo in a waterhole would be quite easy. And obviously, in the old days, people didn't really run around hunting at night. So that's probably why hippo wasn't included in the Big Five, or the Big Six, as it might have been, because the original, in the sort of 1800s, a hippo was not a particularly dangerous animal to come across. So we are now very close to where those lions were. We just got a little crested francolin next to us here, running off. It's quite funny when the Nkuhuma Pride seems to be in a playful mood. They really seem to chase these little guys and give them quite a lot of stress. You hear them cackling alarm calls away. Off you go. No, feed off your grass seeds. So well done to Cindy, Deborah and Enid, who were the quickest out of the starting blocks with that dead tree quiz. And they said it was a leadwood, which is spot on. And how long it can stay upright for, they said hundreds of years. The longest I know of so far is about 100 years. And even then, wood doesn't really disappear. It becomes loose in the ground with rain and whatnot, and then falls over. We've actually got a really nice leadwood specimen here to the right, where half of it is alive and half of it is dead. So that is a very big leadwood, and that leadwood itself is probably 600-700 years old. Absolutely magnificent trees. They become very important homes for lots of other creatures, where even when they're dead, you will find squirrels utilize them, even species of bats when they're quite hollow, snakes, scorpions, and obviously a whole host of insects. Yeah, really nice, impressive leadwood there. Isn't that beautiful, with that incredibly blue sky behind? Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. What's going on here? Oh dear. What timing? The lions weren't where we left them, but they're up and very focused on something here. So how's that for timing? I thought I might have to go do some hard work, some tracking, but I just looked off to the right. They've obviously heard something in the bush. Can't see anything at the moment. I'll just have a quick look with my binoculars. They are showing a little bit of interest in something. One station with Nkuhumas. Animals are showing interest in something and are heading south on the eastern bank of the Wamwati. So there's a lioness right in front of us, and she seems to be leading the hunt at the moment. You can see that very distinct when she moves. She drops her shoulders, tries to keep below the sun. So hopefully our Nkuhuma curse might be over. Go ahead, Craig. Go ahead, Craig. So the rest of the Pride are there. It looks like our timing has been absolutely perfect. They have probably been completely flat till about a minute before we arrived. And how many can you see there? How many lines can we spot there to try to figure out if there are any other lionesses that are doing that pincer movement? I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Standing by. Battalier Road, they're just to the east of the Moati. 20 meters off the road at the moment. Over. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back with you now. There's another game drive vehicle on its way here. As soon as they get here, we'll hand over control of the sighting to them. But I really wish we could see what they've seen. We got a question on the sunrise safari. Do the lions check the wind before they hunt? And we've got a perfect example now of the wind actually coming from behind them. So they haven't checked the wind. And I don't think they do. I think they just happen to quite often head in an upwind direction because they smell. And that question was from Diane this morning. And I think they just happen to, especially if they're following buffalo herds, obviously the wind is blowing towards them. So then they then follow that scent trail. So and here's a perfect example of them hunting with the wind at their backs. So obviously not ideal, but you never know, they still might be successful. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 visible. Oh, there's a bit of action there. The head's cocked. 5 there. 6 went off to the right. Junior is missing, but I doubt he's taking part. So there could be another lioness that's flanked off to the east. There we go, next one out. She's using the available cover. See how she drops her head to try to keep it a little bit lower than she would if she was normally walking. And there you see pop head up, down, getting low. So she's going slightly wider of the other lioness. Yes, what is that there? I think I see something dark ahead of me just. No, that is a stump. I can hear something in the bush up ahead. It does sound quite large. But they're after buffalo again. Just from what I'm hearing. There we go, they're chasing buffalo off to the left. Hold on, guys. They're on those same big buffalo herd as of bulls this morning. So we're right on their tail.
Welcome back, everyone, and that couldn't have happened at a worse time. Jandre and I actually stopped the vehicle so that we can listen to the reports we're getting from Taran FC on the lion buffalo hunt. It sounds so exciting, but sadly the area that he's in has got a very low signal, and as soon as they get his signal again, his picture again, they will take you straight back there. So huge apologies, and that is literally why Jandre and I stopped to listen to that update. It's so exciting. Anyway, let's carry on and try and find some excitement for ourselves. If statistics are anything to go by, you are not missing anything, because the Nkuhuma Pride usually get left behind in a cloud of dust when hunting buffalo. But maybe this time it will be different. I hope it is. We've yet to see them capture something, and that is since filming in November, and
Find out shortly. So, sorry guys about that. We had a little bit of a gremlin creep in as we were with these lions chasing some buffalo. Looks like they've missed again, and some of the pride disappeared, and I followed these three that were in front of me. But it looks like they're busy regrouping now, coming back. But two of those lionesses gave a really good go, and they chased those buffalo quite a long way. I'm quite sure it's the same group of buffalo bulls that they tried to chase this morning. We're just going to stand by here for now. Be interesting to see whether they decide to continue on pushing these buffalo. Just going to try to see where the other lions are. Okay, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many can you see, Brian?
There's one coming towards us from far down there.
Far down there. Okay, there we go. That's number 6. So that one coming towards us from the distance, she was the one who was closest to the buffalo. Or one of the two that were much closer to the buffalo. Just see, it looks like they're all going static again. So we've got the two. Maybe keep moving. Let's see what happens here. So that lioness standing out there, she was the one who was right on those buffalo. It's a pity. I think they should have let the buffalo move a little bit closer to them. Oh, that's one way to wake up. Trying to catch dinner. That seriously sounded like Meals on Wheels. And those buffalo were storming through the bush. Guys, where were you? Where were you? I was there. Where were you? But they have gone flat now. I'm trying to see. It might take a little while for the pride to rejoin. but they are quite close to each other. So I've got these three. The one line is there 4, and then I can see 2 in the back, so 5, 6. And I'm sure the other one might be quite close, or maybe she got even further than the lioness we just saw arrive in that attempted buffalo hunt. But at least they are awake now. Greg, just keep coming on Battler and you'll get my visual. They attempted to chase Nyari again, but missed. Nyari went north, Ngala now lying up just probably about 150 meters. Sorry about that, guys. As soon as Craig gets here, I'm going to hand over the controlling of the sighting to him so I don't have to talk on the radio. At least, oh, there we go. Someone else coming in. Hi, Judith from North Carolina. Judith would like to know, without actually having visual of a lion or lioness, would you be able to tell the difference between their vocalizations? Judith, yes, male lions generally do vocalize their vocalizations are quite a bit louder, but it is quite difficult. Sometimes females can sound very similar to males, but also when a pride roars, you can definitely hear there are multiple individuals, sort of 6 or 7 individuals, as opposed to sort of 2 males. Could I confirm a breeding Columbia or Dagger boys? Copy, thanks, sir. I think that's the ones that just chased. So, Craig is coming to join us. He said not far from here, probably about 300 meters, that there's a group of 20 buffalo bulls, which I'm pretty sure is the same group that these guys chased. So there we go, the last lioness is arriving in that beautiful late afternoon light. And there's a lot of this allo grooming or social grooming going on now, which is really fantastic to see. And it helps strengthen the pride bonds, and obviously makes for better teams when they're hunting. And also, because they are such aggressive feeders and it's each one for their own, these little moments are really important in terms of keeping the pride structure intact. That's why you find lions will lie very close to each other, and it really, really helps keeping them as a strong unit. So we're going to cross across to Scotty quickly, who's with a feathered friend, but we'll be right here in case these lions do anything or move again, and we'll be right back.
Well, the yellow-billed hornbill that we have been following for the last couple of minutes, hoping to show you, decided to fly off as you came across to us. So we're going to continue and see if we can't find it again. Failing that, we will find something else to show you. Interestingly, it was also cleaning itself. It had a bit of a dust bath earlier, so like the lion you are watching groom one another, the hornbill has been grooming itself, and it's just over here on our right. And now it's feeding, so just like the lion who were trying to hunt the buffalo earlier, it is also hunting. More successfully, I'd like to say, than the Nkuhuma Pride. There we go. That's 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kill. How many kills would you like to see this afternoon? There's the 4th. And we did see one earlier with the lilac-breasted roller. I'm not sure how many kills you've seen with Brent so far this afternoon. I'm only kidding. And really exciting stuff over there. And hopefully it won't take long for those lions to get active again. And maybe they'll be able to make up for their failed attempt earlier. Tiny little insects that he's feeding on, he or she, although that looked a little bit bigger. Was it just a blade of grass that got caught in the crossfire? Brent found a wonderful sighting this morning of a red-billed hornbill, slightly smaller than this, feeding on a large locust or grasshopper. So they can take down bigger prey, and Brian and myself actually saw one eating a chameleon just a few days ago. Sadly, we had finished the morning broadcast already, so none of you got to see that. But interesting to see that it had found a chameleon at this time of the year, because they typically should have all been seeking shelter, and we don't see them as much as we used to in the summer months. I find it incredible how accurate and dexterous they are with that massive beak, picking up such tiny little items to feed on. It really is in a very active mood, this hornbill, and obviously trying to stock up on as much food as it can before the cold evening that awaits it. Okay, well, as much as I love having you on board with Jandre and myself, it appears that Brent has got himself into a more favorable position than us, and the lions are really doing some wonderful grooming, so enjoy those really affectionate big cats, and we will keep searching for anything else and see you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still with the Nkuhumas, and they're still continuing with this aloe grooming. So really, really important. And we've got our junior here with one of the adult females. And it's hard to believe how gentle they are with each other now. And then you see them during dinner and they forget all their manners. Good evening, Dennis from Lakeville. Dennis is wondering how many lions, what's the minimum amount of lions it would take to take down an adult buffalo bull? Dennis, it all depends on a whole bunch of circumstances. The condition of the buffalo bull, but a completely fit and healthy buffalo bull. I've seen 2 lionesses do it, and I have seen a single male lion do it before. So probably it's physically possible for a single lioness, although it'd be very, very difficult. But definitely a minimum of 2 are capable of it, but generally don't attempt. And normally your larger prides from sort of 4 upwards would take buffalo. A single male lion is quite capable of taking an adult bull buffalo. But generally, the more lions there are, the higher the success rate's going to be on that hunt, and also the less chance of a major injury to the animal. So obviously that also weighs in quite heavily. We've got a question from Donna and the large open grasslands of Missouri. Donna would like to know, are all females in a lion pride related, or do unrelated females sometimes join? Donna, I have not heard of unrelated females joining. Generally, they would all be related, so mothers, sisters, aunts, and cousins, and the males will change, and that's where the new genetics comes in, but the pride is generally made up of related females. And one of the reasons for this is that all of those females will be protecting a piece of their bloodline that will be being passed down, where there's the new males coming in and out will bring in new blood, and that helps with genetic diversity. So lion prides, all the females are related. So I think this female's gonna get around, because I think this female's gonna get up to. So we're just gonna move around because I'm pretty sure this female's gonna get up and move towards the rest shortly. So we're just gonna try and get in position to get in to position, so they'll walk towards us, and the setting sun should be behind them as well. So get your fingers ready for screenshots. Try sneak in here. Watch the trees on the left there, Brian. Go. So there we have the setting sun and the Nkuhuma Pride. And almost on cue, here comes that last female. She's going to walk right into shot. So get ready with those screenshots. And while you guys get your screenshots of the lions in the sunset, we answered a question from Mavis earlier. She's still a little bit unsure of whether male and female lions vocalize differently. Oh, flop. They do. Male lions tend to be deeper and louder than females. And also when a female in a pride roars, the rest of the pride will generally roar with her. But you can hear the difference. But it takes quite a long time of being in the bush before you can. Quite often, for people who are not from the bush, it'll sound, male and female lion calls will sound very similar. Look at that, isn't that absolutely stunning? So, I think I need to take off my big lens and put on the wide lens, because isn't that an absolutely stunning shot? Hi, Jackie from the home of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jackie would like to know, why do lions do that very loud roar as opposed to their softer contact calls when they're closer to each other? Well, Jackie, that roar is a very other members of the pride for sort of communication when they're close to each other, whereas that loud roar is meant to tell all the other lions that aren't part of the pride, hey, you stay away from here, this is my territory, don't you come here, otherwise if you come here, you're going to be in for a fight. Oh, bless you. Hi, Lynn. Lynn is wondering whether they would keep following the buffalo. They might, Lynn, as it gets a bit darker, and obviously their hunting success rate is a bit better in the dark than it is in the daylight, because the other animals are at a slight disadvantage. But they might possibly not as well. They might head off in the opposite direction. I think there's a good chance. I actually think it's a 50-50 call, to be honest. I'm not sure which way they're going to go today. It'll be very interesting to see. So remember to take screenshots. That's what I'm doing, except not with the screenshot, with my camera. Isn't that just a very, very beautiful scene? And it's amazing how lion prides sort of lie on top of each other. And it's quite interesting when you're tracking on foot, and if you're tracking through really long grass where you can't see any footprints, you will find this completely flattened area of grass. And you almost always know that's lion, because lion you don't have any grass gaps sticking up between, because during the day they will continually lie almost on top of each other. So that's a really, really good way to say, if you can't see any footprints, that it was lions lying there and not some other animal. So while these kitty cats are going immobile again, we're going to cross across to Scott quickly, who's got quite a magnificent vista to show you.
Now, that right there is a beautiful, beautiful sunset, and good to know that the lion are sleeping now, otherwise we may have not been able to share this with you. So there are some positives out of having sleeping lion about. We get to show you the wonderful other scenery that we have out here. It's quite a windy evening, and we can't share too much at the moment. Most animals, I think, have already bunkered down. It's already getting quite chilly. But even though we can't share anything, it's still nice to have a few moments of silence, just to recollect, think about your day, think about how lucky we are to all be on safari this evening. Well, before the sun does dip below the horizon, I do want to continue driving down Impala Road. We did just find some male leopard tracks, possibly Tingana, judging by the area we're in, the northwestern parts of Djuma. And we want to continue driving and be able to see the tracks on this road, and we'll need to make the most of the light that is fading at a rapid rate now. So we'll send you back to Brent, and I hope those lions get active. We'll see you all once we've hopefully found Tingana.
Welcome back, everyone. We're still with the sleepy Nkuhumas. Only one head up. Oh, no heads up. Sorry, some of the other game drive vehicles are getting hold of me now. I'll be back with you in a second. Isn't that sort of a very peaceful scene? A lion pile. We're going close on Junior's shoulder here. You'll notice it almost looks like his skin is moving once we get even closer. And there we go. You can see all those flies, all those little biting flies that are almost cover the lions constantly. And from a distance, you can't even see them. And there they are. So even though lions look like they're quite cleanly animals, they are not by any means. They are quite smelly. And definitely have no problem feeding rotten meat or scavenging from other predators. Hi, Enid. Enid is just saying to me that her dogs quite often bark in their sleep, and she's wondering whether lions do the same. Enid, I've never heard of a lion roaring in its sleep, and all the times I've seen lions roaring, they have been very much awake. It would be quite a disadvantage to roar in your sleep, because it might let your competitors know where you are and when you're not ready for a fight. So lions do not roar in their sleep at all that I've ever seen. They do dream, and you can see their eyelashes flattering and cheek muscles moving and sometimes tails and feet twitching, but they are quite silent while they do that. I've never heard them make any loud noises while they're sleeping. Hi, Benny from Georgia. Benny's asked a very interesting interaction question. How the different felines, the large felines we get out here, lions, leopards, and cheetahs, interact with each other. well, there is a very, very distinct hierarchy there. Lions are by far at the top of that hierarchy, and leopard and cheetah will do their best to avoid lions. Running away, leopard will climb a tree, but mostly they will just try avoid them at all costs. Between leopard and cheetah, it can vary sometimes, depending on coalition sizes of if it's male cheetah. I've seen a group of 4 male cheetah chase off a female leopard, but I doubt they would risk chasing a male leopard, an adult male leopard. So we did recently see a young male leopard, and he managed to chase off 2 male cheetah. So out of the felines in this area, cheetah are by far at the bottom of the sort of hierarchy. And there's quite a few different reasons for this, even though they are taller than a lion, than a leopard, but definitely not taller than a lion, sorry about that. Taller than a leopard, they are very, very slightly built, and they've had a lot of evolutionary adaptations to get that incredible speed. But in doing so, they've lost a lot of other things like strength. And they are so easily hurt, and that can affect their hunting ability, that they will avoid confrontation with most things. I've seen a group of 60 vultures chase a cheetah off a kill, because even one nip from a beak of a big bird like a white-backed vulture might injure the cheetah so badly that it's not going to be able to hunt, and it will probably die. So cheetah will definitely run away. Lions, by far the dominant. Even a lioness is considerably bigger than a very big male leopard, probably carrying 30 to 40 kilograms on a male leopard. So lions will chase everything out of the way. And you wouldn't believe, looking at them lying in a pile like that, Hi, Sheila. Sheila's a really long-term viewer of ours who's watched for many years. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Sheila. Really great to know you're out there with us almost every day that we go out. Sheila would like to know how old the sub-adults in the Nkuhuma Pride are. And they do have those visible bovine TB growth on their, well, it's not bovine TB anymore, it's feline TB. It's mutated as it crossed across to the lions. It's no longer bovine. Bovine would mean it would be buffalo TB, so now it's feline TB. And would they pass that on to their cubs? And how would that affect the cubs? That's a very good question. They are probably just under 2 years old now. And so moving out of sort of that danger area, if there was a pride takeover to happen, whether they would pass on the TB to their cubs, they probably would. But looking at them, they looked a lot worse a few months ago. Those growths seemed a lot bigger. They have definitely improved in condition since I've been here. And I'm hoping that possibly their natural antibodies are fighting it off. And whether it would have a really bad effect on the cubs or not is very difficult for me to say now. Until they're born, you don't know whether they are born when the lion's in particularly bad condition, whether it's in good condition, and whether they might be born with another defect or lack of immunity to something which would exacerbate something like feline tuberculosis. So only time would tell once they are old enough to give birth, and they're probably still 2 years away from having their first litter. Hi, Mike from Florida, a place I've enjoyed some very good fishing a few years ago. Mike would like to know if I've ever seen a monkey throw sticks or anything else at a lion or a leopard. Mike, I have not, and I have never noticed that behavior even with baboons and other things. I think it's very unlikely that would ever happen. Monkeys would definitely try to avoid them at all costs. So I don't think that's going to happen. I've never witnessed that. I've never even seen them throw anything at a person. Hey, Tux. No problem, Vo. They've been chasing Nyari.
Okay.
They were down there and they chased the Nyari through here and the Nyari up at Drakensberg Junction. Sorry about that, guys. Just saying hello to Taxon, who's just arrived at the sighting with his guests, and they have come to enjoy the Nkuhuma Pride in the late afternoon light. Maybe you can see those ears flicking from all the flies. And you can see actually see the flies buzzing around. And it must be incredibly annoying to have to deal with constantly. So guys, these lions are flat cats. So we're going to cross across to Scotty, who's been on those leopard tracks, and he went for a little walk. Hopefully he comes back in one piece, but we'll be here. Hopefully these lions get moving again a little bit later. Other than that, we'll be standing by with Nkuhumas, and we will see you just now.
Well, there's no sign of Tingana. I've been searching high and low, and I can't see him anywhere. So I'm going to try and come down here as gracefully as possible. And isn't it incredible that you can climb up onto such a solid structure made by tiny little termites, just using mud and their own saliva to build these massive homes for themselves. They also provide mainly the animals out here, like the leopard and the cheetah, with good vantage points. But even us now, as humans, can climb up here and get a good look around. It's incredibly high, and I was actually a little bit nervous up there, to be honest. I thought I was going to get blown over at 1 second. But thankfully I didn't, because that would have been highly embarrassing. We decided to come to this specific area because there's a very prominent game trail that runs from behind you and then along to the right of this termite mound. And the tracks of a male leopard that we did have were veering in this general direction, and there's a chance he could have slipped onto this animal highway. I've checked for tracks here, no sign, and then I just thought I'd try and use this vantage point for a bird's eye view on the surroundings, and nothing to report. But I don't think anyone's driven this road this morning, or today, so we could potentially come across some unknown evidence or unknown action. And that is the wonderful thing about this part of Djuma and the Sabi Sands in general, is that there is a high network of roads that really allows you to crisscross through the vegetation and through the different terrain in order to try and track down these animals. Whereas if there's less roads, there's less likelihood of bumping into the animals. But we'll often use the roads as their major pathways for movements. I'm sure Brent has been telling you some interesting tales about lions chasing leopards and leopards chasing cheetahs, and it really is interesting to know about the possible interactions that can go on between the different predators that occur out here. And it's certainly something that we could see. The last time that I remember lion-leopard interaction, Brent and I were actually in the vehicle together, and instead of doing the fireside chat, we responded to some reports that Mvula had been found mating with the Kwatile female leopard. We arrived on scene, and who else was there? None other than Karula, keeping a close eye on Mvula and this female who was in Karula's territory. So if that wasn't enough, 3 leopards in one sighting, the 2 Styx lioness arrived on the scene and chased Mvula and Kwatile, the female, up into a jackalberry tree. So we have seen a little bit of interaction with lion and leopard. Brent got leopard and cheetah, which was great not so long ago. And if you stay tuned and follow us closely enough, you too will be with us when this action unfolds next. Rhinosters in Arkansas has taken note to the setting sun and the twilight that's setting in, and as darkness falls, Rhinosters is interested to know what effect will the spotlight have on the various animals we shine it on. And basically for the daytime animals, so animals that are not equipped with good night vision, so mainly your herbivores and antelope out here, they would be blinded, as would we and most animals, and would therefore take a long time to readjust to the darkness, putting them in at a disadvantage if they were to bump into a predator of any sorts. So we avoid shining on the daytime animals at night. That includes the cheetah and the wild dog, as they are daytime carnivores. They are not nocturnal carnivores by trade, even though they can move around after dark. And we'll just shine on the nocturnal animals who are either carnivorous and therefore under less threats of attack, or we will shine on some of the other nocturnal animals like the nocturnal primate, the bush baby, and we'll try and be as sensitive as possible because it certainly will have a degree of an impact on them. But if you take the bush baby, for example, we can be shining a spotlight on it and it can spring 1.5 meters to 2 meters onto another thin branch while we're doing it. So it certainly can't affect their eyesight that badly. If they jumped and missed the tree completely, well then we'd obviously be having an impact. But most of the animals that we shine on will not be hugely negatively impacted, although there will be an impact, of course. But it doesn't seem to bother them too much. And at the end of the day, we do need to show you people all of them, and that's the way we're currently doing it. So hopefully in time, night vision will be used by not only us, but all camps, because then we would have less of an impact. But at the moment, it is just simply not feasible to equip every camp with the latest night vision equipment. It would be far too costly. Now, we're quite some way from where we did have the male leopard tracks earlier, but they can cover huge distances, and to move from where we saw the track to here would take him no more than 20 minutes. The tracks to me look like from last night, so not from during the day. So he could be very, very far ahead of us by now. But interestingly, this morning I also did find tracks of a female leopard heading from the opposite direction towards us, towards where he was heading. So maybe, just maybe, we could come across not 1 but 2 leopards. I haven't seen mating for quite some time, and it's something that we have yet to share with you since this broadcast started in November. So that's something that we need to rectify. You'll notice a lot of the marula trees, which are the big trees, there's a couple of them off on our right. Now imagine a leopard draped over some of those branches. You would very easily see that silhouette. A vertical tail dangling down or a head poking up. So keep an eye out on the limbs of those kinds of trees with big horizontal branches and see if you don't notice any obscurities as we drive around. Wow, good to know that Mavis, one of our viewers, would like to know if there's any fruit trees out here. And yes indeed, Mavis, the fruit tree that occurs out here is the same tree that the leopards love to sleep in. Well, one of the fruit trees, I should clarify, and that's the marula tree. It's got a beautifully tasty fruit, extremely high in vitamin C, so very healthy, and a very refreshing taste. They're about the size of a golf ball or bigger, and they'll drop down from the tree green or slightly yellow and then ripen when they are yellow. So when their skin is yellow, they ripen. You basically just bite the end of this, they're quite hard skin, and pop quite a big nut into your mouth with a thin layer of fruity flesh that you can chew on. And it's mainly a liquid injection that you get as you suck on this fruit. You can't get too much of the flesh off the actual seed. But interestingly, if you wait for that flesh to dry up and die off and peel off, you can actually access a very tasty nut within that seed. And it's similar to that, the texture of kind of a macadamia nut, very rich and oily. And sadly, it's quite small. Otherwise, I'm sure it would be farmed and sold around the world, because it is very tasty, but very difficult to get into, and the seeds are or the nut inside is very small. And this is one of them over here. Take a closer look. They're such pretty trees. And the reasons why the leopard love to sleep in them are these perfectly horizontal branches that you can see. Now, a lot of the trees in this area will lack perfectly horizontal branches, making it uncomfortable for leopards. But the marulas are certainly one of the best. So the leopards love them for sleeping in. The elephants love them for their fruits, and not only the elephants, a lot of other animals. But in the summer months over December, actually in my last drive at the end of January, when what was initially going to be a 3-month broadcast ended before it got extended to carrying on till dates, it was my last drive, and we were following a herd of elephants literally running from marula tree to marula tree in search of the fruits, and they almost feed solely on them at that time of the year when they are fruiting. And you'll actually find elephants moving through the Kruger Park following the ripening marulas. So the elephants love them too, and us as humans can enjoy a very tasty liqueur made amarula, made from the fruits of this tree. And it's a very well-known liqueur. It's worth looking into if you're a liqueur fan, and I could recommend it with a coffee on your morning safari. Good. So that is one of the fruit trees that we get out here, Mavis. But many others also bearing smaller fruits, or fruits maybe inedible to us but edible to the animals. The sour plum is one, which, as its name suggests, has an extremely sour plum. But initially, as you pop it into your mouth, it can be quite sweet, but you get shortly thereafter ambushed by a shocking sour taste. It's almost time to turn the lights on, I think. And what a wonderful evening it is as Chandra pans across to show you the orange glow out to the west. So, as Renostas did point out earlier in his question, we are going to be sensitive when shining the spotlight, and you'll notice I shine quite quickly from side to side, and we just need a quick glimmer of an eye shine, or the reflection of the eyes of a piece. Now, as we go around here shining away, you're going to head across to Brent, who is no need to search for anything, as he is with the Nkuhuma Lions enjoying.
Welcome back, everyone. There's quite a bit of aloe grooming going on, or there was a few seconds ago. But you can see old Junior has rolled over towards us and lying on his belly like Lord Muck. But there is a little bit of movement going on. I'm hoping they do get mobile again before we sign off tonight. You can see those two adult lionesses in the back. Oh no, we're licking each other now. Have stopped, but they're definitely a little bit more, looking more likely to get moving with this bit of stretching and licking. There we go. Up and at 'em. There's a nice stretch. Get my spotlight ready in case they get on the move. So if you hear some bumbling around, it's just me. I already got it ready. Aren't I clever? So quite often what they'll do is they'll get up, move, stretch, defecate and urinate before they actually get on the move. But it looks like they have had quite a bit of movement today already. So they are moving past Taxon there. It's all of a sudden like there was a secret signal. They're not going in the direction of where they chased those buffalo. They're actually heading the opposite direction. Okay, we're going to get moving now to try catch up with them before they disappear. And always, as always, young Junior holding up the rear. Hold on there, Brian. We're going to have to go over this log. Ah, quite a rotten one. No bump. Isn't this wonderful? Nkuhuma's on the move. We've been quite lucky with them moving. Both the sunrise and sunset safari. I wonder which way they go. Are they going to go south towards Twin Dams? Or are they going to go north towards the Juma Dam Camp? Isn't that quite a sight? All these lines with that beautiful light of the setting sun behind them. And a nice dead knob thorn to add a bit of ambience. It looks like we might have heard something. I'm just going to go forward a little bit. They're going to quite a difficult spot in a drainage line now. Hi, Cecilia. Cecilia's wondering about those flies we saw on the lines. She says if it rains again, will this help? Actually, Cecilia, it'll make it worse. There are going to be far more flies in the wet season. This is actually a break from the amount of flies there normally are on them. They are going to go into this very difficult drainage line now. I'll try and see if we can follow them through. Otherwise, we might have to go around. Andrew, I'm going to try go around to Inyala Road South, see if they come out that side. Okay, so Andrew's going to stay here right behind them. I'm going to shoot around to the next road because I don't think we're going to be able to get a vehicle through here. It's too thick and bushy. So we're going to shoot around as fast as possible to the next road, see if we can catch up with those lions. Oh, don't catch something while we're away. Wouldn't that be Murphy's Law? Fortunately, it's not too far. Okay, we're nearly there, guys. Sorry, I'm just concentrating on driving. Fortunately, I walked in this drainage line a lot, so I'm pretty sure I know the exact animal path that they were moving on. Should be coming out somewhere around here. Let's try get into the bush over here. Oh no. Keep, oh, there they are. I was about 10 meters off. So there's one big elephant path here, there's another one just there. Now mobile north on Inyala Road South. So there we go, we caught up with them again. They are looking like they're showing some sort of semi-stalking. Maybe there's some buffalo we didn't know about. If they go back into the drainage line, it's going to be very difficult to stick with them. There's a sort of wall of thicket here. And down she goes. We're just going to stand by and listen here for a second. Andrew only had one sati, and she's dropped back into the drainage. It looks like they are showing interest in something. Can you see her, Brian? I can't see her, but I can hear her footprints on the dry leaves. So she's keeping still now. Did you guys hear that crunch crunch as she walked across the leaves? Any lines behind us, Brian? Okay. I think I'm going to try go up ahead. There is a spot where we viewed a leopard kill that might let us get into this drainage line. But this is the most attempts I've seen the Nkuhumas have in one single day. So purely on the odds, if they only catch 1.2 to 1.7 times out of 10, we have now witnessed 1, 2, 3 attempts. So we are getting towards the odds favoring us, but not quite yet. Negative, Andrew. I've lost sight of all of them. I'm going to try to get into the Shkova where Nkuhuma had that Bawala Bamba a few months ago. So hold on, guys. Andrew's also lost sight of all the lines on the other side. So this is the exact spot where we went down. We might, unfortunately, going into drainage line, have some signal issues. I don't think so though, but it is quite a tricky drainage line to get into. So I'm going to try and get down here. This is the exact route we took in to spend time with Nkuhuma when you had a kill in this Tamboti tree. I'm hoping this will give us a view of the lines. As always, coming down those is always far easier than going up, which we'll have to do a little bit later. Are we there? Ariel's going to be okay. Go. So because it's dry now, the sand is much thicker, so much more difficult to drive in. slide a little bit. The last position, I saw that lioness disappear, was just in here. And this tree to the right here where Nkuhuma had the kill. I see some sort of form of eyes ahead. I'm just going to try and get a bit closer. You okay there?
Yeah.
It's a good thing I remembered this little gap into this drainage line, which is normally near impossible to get into. I saw some eyes up on the hill there. Is it a line?
Yeah.
Does it go back to the road?
Yeah.
Of course it is. Murphy's Law, as we get down into this really thick tangle, and I don't think we're going to be able to get out. We're going to have to go back the way we came. And they've moved out of the Shkova back onto Inyala Road South, but I'm in the Shkova, so it's going to take me a while to get around. So while we battle to get out of this drainage line quickly, we're going to go see what Scotty's been up to, but you'll be back to us a little later.
Well, really exciting stuff over with Brent and the Nkuhuma Pride in and out of the riverbed, and tricky work for Brent. Oh, what have we seen up ahead here? Oh, great. Please, man, not disappear. There's something at the base of that large tree that I'd love to show you. And I'm going to stop here in the hope that you can get a view. There we go. Genre is so quick on the camera, and thanks to that, a lot of you may for the first time be seeing a white-tailed mongoose. We don't see them very often, and that's because they're nocturnal. And look at that big bushy white tail. How cool is it? Oh, I think it just had a toilet break there potentially, and it's off looking for its first snack of the evening, breakfast you could say. What a bonus. There's quite a few nocturnal critters that we don't get to see very often out here, and this is one of them. I'm so happy that that's happened. It looks like it's doing another scent mark there as it flattened its bottom to the ground. And we're not going to chase after it. They're not very habituated and used to the vehicles, so it wouldn't work for us to follow it off-road. And we did get such a good glimpse of it there. Well, it's been another wonderful day here in the Sabi Sands on Djuma and Arathusa Private Game Reserve. Brent's had a lot of the action today, and thanks to Brent for finding the Nkuhuma Pride in the first place this morning and then taking you guys on some wonderful adventures along the way. He's still trying to get back into position there, and as you would have seen from the terrain, it's quite thick and he has to get all the way around. I know exactly the area, and it's a tricky area, so he's going to try and rush back and get you a few more glimpses of the lion. But before he gets there, it's a great opportunity for me to thank you all for joining. If you didn't join us on these safaris, they wouldn't happen, so keep joining and keep telling your friends about Safari Live. It's wonderful introducing new people to the concept because it is such a new and undiscovered form of entertainment, and it's so good to have you all with us. Anyway, from myself, Scott, thanks again, and from Jandre, thanks for your great work on camera, and to Tara, who directed the show, and Nikki was lending her a hand. Back to Brent, enjoy.
Hi guys, we've caught up. I'm just going to try shoot around to the next road to try catch up. We've caught up with Junior, so that means we're definitely right at the back of the queue. They saw that it wasn't worthwhile following up on, and it looks like they're actually going to cross into the Mawati drainage. So again, hold on. We will get there quickly before the end of drive. But I would say, guys, definitely everyone keep a look out on the Juma Dam cam this evening. I've got a very strong suspicion they might end up there during the night sometime. So zoomies, keep a lookout. So I'm just going to try and give you one view as they move into the drainage line. There we go. So thanks very much for joining us on this sunset safari as the last of the Nkuhumas. Oh, it looks like they're going to mill around here for a little bit for the end of drive. Isn't that kind of them? Thanks very much for joining us on the sunset safari. From myself and Brian and everyone in Final Control, thanks very much. And wasn't it fantastic? I mean, this is the second attempted buffalo hunt we had with the Nkuhumas today. Hopefully they are successful during the evening, and hopefully they catch something big that we can find them on in the morning. So for the last few seconds, I'm going to leave you with the lions. Have a wonderful evening or day or morning, wherever you might be in the world, and join us bright and early for the sunrise safari.